Hey everyone, thanks for joining today, and I'm happy to be here to share some of our plans for the new year and things that we've done before to connect with our community in these 8 dimensions. And if you're not aware, you can see on the screen, wellness is not just the absence of infirmities. It is also encompasses everything, all the dimensions that make up a whole person in the wellness wheel, with physical, mental, social well-being, and all these others included. So this is a definition of health and wellness from the 8 dimensions of wellness from the World Health Organization. And I just wanted to define that before we begin. We here in Wilkes County, and I previously was in Ashe County and did a lot of wellness programming there, have been working with different community partners to touch base on each one of the dimensions. And these are some of the ones that we partnered up with, and maybe you've had similar type of experiences in your area. But like Devin said, if there are some that you don't see listed here, if you think of some good partnerships, the thing is that just about every day, just whoever I'm talking to, whatever the conversation might take us, I'll say, oh, that we relate to this dimension or that dimension, and I'll be recruiting people wherever I go to come and join us and share their expertise and develop different types of programs with them. And just recently, we had a new rural tech center that opened up in our community, and I'm thinking, oh, occupational wellness. So there's all kinds of different ways, and if you can look on the list that I've got here, maybe you'll recognize some of them that you've used or worked with. I'll start off talking about our physical wellness. And as the new year began, a lot of people think about resolutions and how they're going to maintain or lose weight, or finances, budget money better, different things like that. So each quarter this year, we've decided to focus on several dimensions, and we began the new year with physical wellness. In the past, we've worked with our community health foundation to offer heart health classes, and they'll come and bring all kinds of swag and talk about the importance of keeping your heart healthy and understanding the symptoms and signs of heart attacks or strokes. And so the Health Foundation has a lot of great resources. I know you've heard of that, and we're very excited to get them on board to come and supply some programs for our library at no cost. The North Carolina Cooperative Extension does the same thing. They started the new year with a nutrition and fitness class called Take Control. They come out to the library, they teach the class. It's a great partnership. You know, when we started off a few years back, having a yoga instructor to come and do programming, we were using programming money to pay a stipend to have an instructor teach a class. But when our budgets got tight, we decided instead of calling it a class to call it a club. And some of our folks that have participated are pretty good at this, and they don't mind leading the group and taking turns to stretch and do yoga routines. So that was one way we cut expenses. The walking book club idea I actually got from a rural small library conference program, where folks would walk around and talk about books that they've been reading, and that got them out socializing, another aspect there, social wellness, but also walking for physical health and wellness. And so in Ashe County, we were very lucky to have a park with a walking trail directly behind the library. And we decided there that we might feature different books related to dimensions of wellness and encourage our walkers and our participants to choose any book and read that book. So there wasn't like a designated read that everybody had in common, a common read, but there was a variety of different books that were showcased, and you could pick and choose from those and read your own, and then walk around and find out what each other were reading about and say, oh, I want to read your book, or I want to read what you read. And tell some highlights and things that you've learned. So it was a great way to do that. And then following the monthly walk around with the Talk About Wellness Inc. books, we would meet in the library itself for some sort of lunch and learn program. And again, that was where folks like from the Regional Health Foundation would come and teach about heart health, or different things would occur as far as the lunch and learn would go. Caregivers, that's a big thing that our midlifers are faced with, caring for aging parents mainly, but they need support. And so this was a great opportunity to work around and host a little program with them, or give them an opportunity to meet at least, monthly if they would like to use our space and share ideas and help that way. We all love smoothies, so one day we all brought our blenders in, and each one had a different smoothie to demonstrate, and then we poured them in little cups and let everyone have a taste, and collected recipes. So the smoothie bar was very, very popular. The new thing that we're going to do here in Wilkes County this year is going to be a Cyclovia Festival. And we're partnering with our health foundation and our communities downtown to close the streets on the first Saturday of April, which happens to be April 1st. And no no motor traffic can come through, only wheels. It doesn't have to be just bicycles, we want it to be inclusive. So strollers and wheelchairs are invited to come out and take a tour around the town and enjoy the activity booths and things that we have set up with different partners there. Rollerblades, skateboards, and like I said, tricycles and bicycles. We're going to have some special contests for decorating your bike, and different little obstacle courses and races, and lots of people out on the streets with their information tents and that kind of thing. So Cyclovia, I've never heard of it, but it's something that's European festival that's come to our country and popping up in different places. So we're going to try it this year and see what we think. Lots of different ways to promote physical wellness there. Another way to mention another dimension to mention emotional wellness. So emotional wellness is your mental health, and that's just as important as your physical health. We have partnered in the past with a Safe Home for Everyone. It's a domestic violence shelter in Ashe County, and there's the Oasis and the different types of homeless shelters and places where folks can go and when they're faced with emotional abuse or physical abuse as well. But domestic violence awareness is very important. So we've had the Light the Night walk in the past. We've had some conferences and heard from speakers in regards to suicide prevention. Kevin Hines came out one day and one year and did a talk for all three of our counties in the Appalachian regional system, and he's a suicide survivor. And he had a very powerful story to tell. But stemming from that conversation, we ended up with celebrating Survivors Day and having special programming for them too, healing type day. Mission 22 is also a new thing that I've been found out about, and that relates to our veterans, that 22 veterans die by suicide daily. And that's way too many. We don't want anybody to have that as their last resort. There's lots of help out there. But Mission 22 takes place in the month of September, and folks can participate by walking 22 miles throughout the month, or in our case, we did 2.2 miles. We did a walk and shortened it to encourage people to come down and raise awareness about that number and their mission and their cause. And there's lots of resources available on their website that you can look up. We've featured a local family therapist who came in and gave some relationship resources and some help there for folks to find out about things they can do in their own personal lives. The Wellness Recovery Action Plan is a wrap. That was a very cool conference that we hosted one time, and would like to have that on an annual basis where folks can come and find ways to self-care, and that, helping with your emotions, addressing the stress. Via Health, they're, they're training, read one up here in the Eastern region. I don't know where it is in your area, but or who you have that to work with you, but they come in and do a couple of mental health classes monthly. And they have everything from, navigating depression and treating dementia, understanding medications, and all sorts of opportunities there to have a conversation and learn. They've even had classes on OCD and hoarding and PTSD and understanding schizophrenia. So check out your regional health team. I guess behavioral health crisis line might, I'll put that in the Google Doc that we're compiling there. I'll put this too, so that maybe you have those resources, and they're a great folk to partner with for your communities, our community. Art therapy, with the adult coloring phase, that was really kind of inspired people to get together and draw and, use colors to brighten your emotional wellness and find ways to distract and overcome depression, or in recovery programs as well. So art therapy sessions and with an artist even were great ideas for programming in that sense. Emotional, okay, we're going now to spiritual, and here was where we talked about gratitude and had some prompts for journaling, and had gratitude journaling programs where we put them up on our social media sites every day, so people would have a prompt and could write and share. That was a great time, especially in the fall months. And we kind of put spiritual wellness, we took all the 8 dimensions, let me go back, and sort of spaced them out throughout the year when they might be the most well-received time of year for. And with the winter months, with the holidays, and trying to keep your spirits up, gratitude journaling was highlighted that time of year. Of course, Thanksgiving.
Hey, Susan.
You may or may not have heard of.
If
Can
we
you hear
could
me?
actually, yeah, I don't want to disrupt the flow of the presentation, but if we could go back to emotional wellness, just 1 second.
Sure.
So one thing right before this session, actually, and as you all were in the waiting room, Suzanne was talking about writing grants to kind of supplement some of this work that she's already doing, one of which would involve a Narcan locker sort of kiosk for helping with recovery and addiction issues in her county. So I think that that goes beyond some of the fluffy parts potentially of programming into actually like, what does my community need? And so I think as much as we want to be lighthearted with our programming and provide a positive space, we also want to reflect what people are actually going through in their lived experiences. And so I really liked, just before, I wanted to shout out that balance that you've struck and creating very authentic programming.
Thank you for bringing that in. That's just then, that wasn't on my mind when I was putting that together, this slide, but that was just a recent thing that our county received some funding for the opioid settlement, and I heard about Narcan lockers and vending machines. So we're hoping to have one here on site outside the building. And in writing that grant, I realized that a lot of times people come here after hours when we're not open, and they use our outside Wi-Fi, and there's different places around the building where people that are out on the streets and are looking for shelter, take shelter. And what happens in the library and outside library, on library property here, we want to be prepared for it. We don't want anyone to have an episode where it's too late. So that's been a real important thing in our community, is to address the opioid crisis. So Thank you. I should have added that to the slide, but actually the grant came along after the slide was created. So just that's a good one to include. And again, with our Recovery Revolution partner, they're coming and planning to come and do some prevention and education classes to promote recovery allies and where you can go for help. So that's good. That's a good one. And since we're backing up, I know I started off quick and I forgot to highlight things. I want to back up 2 more slides if you don't care. To the beginning, I think. Yeah, there's a QR code here. You can get on to our LibGuide where you'll be able to find all of the digital resources, suggested reads, and help numbers and lines. Like I said, behavioral health crisis and all of the things like that are located on that LibGuide, and that was put together by a former employee who was in her college career working on a field assignment, and she said, well, let me say what we need to do. And I said, let's build this LibGuide. We wanted to promote wellness all throughout the new year. And are we seeing my face now or the screen? There's a book by Noah Lindstrom, Healthy Living at the Library. You may see that book, but that was another place that we got a lot of great ideas. I don't want to leave out the hard work of Jennifer Johnson on the resource guide, and I meant to talk to you about that before we started going into the actual programs. So backing back up to where we were, I realize I have a time limit, so I don't want to monopolize every minute of this time. I want y'all to have some input and talk for questions as well. Environmental wellness is another area of our whole person wellness, and we are actually doing a community garden this year with space from the town. The master gardeners have in their park have blocked in a space, and they're renting plots. So for $20, we can rent a plot and turn it into programming. What we're hoping to do, we also have a seed library here, but more importantly, what we're hoping to do with the produce is to make available a community fridge. We also received funding to do some heritage cooking classes, talking about health and wellness again, our physical wellness, eating healthy, and those heritage diets are all about promoting healthy eating. And where do we get these foods? So we're, relying on some surplus from local growers and foods from food banks in our community. The perishables, we're going to put out a fridge, like a free community fridge. And so working with the garden and growing for the program and to support that as well. I don't know if you've heard about plogging. It was new to me. But plogging, it is not more than environmental wellness, but it's also physical wellness, because about jogging, when you get out and actually walk and jog for your health, just add picking up litter at the same time, and they call that plogging. So going around in different parks was a fun plogging experience that we did, and encourage folks to join us and wherever they are to go as they walk and run along the path to take a chance to pick up litter as they go along and keep the environment healthy. Bird watching is something that I've just recently discovered is a real big thing. I mean, I know people do it. I've got a little bird feeder outside my window, but we do circulate binoculars and bird watching guides as part of our non-traditional collection. But this year, someone in our community who was a part of the Audubon Society mentioned something about the Christmas bird count, which I was not aware about. In Christmas, they get out and count birds in your community in circles around the country. It's national, and the information that they gather from counting and identifying those birds help plan ways to keep the birds safe and in their migration and know how, things are changing, so the birds have a place to be too. Which talking to the bird watchers led me to the beekeepers. So with the environmental topic, we got things here to do with the birds and the bees and growing and heirloom seed saving and hiking, and just talking to my landscaper here at the library. I found out that he's a forester and with trees, and Arbor Day coming around the corner. That's unfortunately I didn't get that on the slide either, but there is a program that allows you to get let's see, seedlings for kids, and for Earth Day is a neighborhood forest free tree program, and I'll add that to the Google sheet for everyone, so you can have a link for it as well. There's a lot of things you can do. Keep Ash Beautiful was, and I'm sure Keep Wilkes Beautiful, Keep Every County Beautiful in North Carolina has a nonprofit that does a county litter pickup day, and they did that in Ashe County where I used to work, and we're trying to get that started back up in Wilkes. I think it went off for a bit, but it's coming back around now, so keep an eye out for those folks. They love to work with us. Wherever you are, you probably have the same thing. Financial wellness is a big important thing to be aware of, and we're really highlighting that now with the new focus on the new year and those resolutions, as I mentioned, saving and learning to budget and understanding how money works is a ongoing thing. I discovered a new site called Living on the Cheap, and there's lots of different ways that folks want to cut corners and learn how to save money, and just having a conversation about that was a great interactive thing with our community. Of course, we work with our community college too, in high schools, to promote ways students can save money and get scholarships for if they're furthering their education. Our local investment and credit union, Edward Jones and State Employers Credit Union here have been planning some programming for us as well. And don't forget about Smart Money Week, because they have so many things on their website that are useful, with lots of downloadable things that you can use to put together programs. This is a really fun one for me, and intellectual wellness. I love lifelong learning, and I love working in the library and learning new things all the time. But what can you connect with that thought? Of course, library card sign up month. It can be highlighted, especially because with your library card, you have access to anything you want to learn about. I call library is the people's university. You don't need to pay tuition, and you can find out about anything you need for free. Banned Books Week with intellectual wellness is important, because we all want to be intellectual freedom fighters, and make sure that books are read and not banned and taken away. So lately there's been a lot of challenge about different books, and the battle of the books was a thing in our community that parents were trying to take sides on, and with our school board system. So we've had as far as Banned Books Weeks this past year, an intellectual freedom reception, and we had folks write essays on what it meant to them on different books that were on that banned books list, or things that have been challenged, and what did the freedom to read mean to them. And so we had a great response. We partnered with a local coffee shop and had those cute little cupcakes with the banned books on top and shared those essays, and they were even published in the paper. So that raised a lot of conversation, and there's a lot of ways that you can look for programming ideas and even support for programs through the Freedom to Read Foundation. Book clubs, one of my favorite things of all, and film clubs, and foreign language. I try to do a little bit of transparent language every day or two on my lunch hour. They have that learning on NC Live website, so that's a good thing to promote. Lots of different ideas that you may have as far as intellectual wellness. And then we go into social wellness. And the big idea that I got from social wellness back in my early days of library school was a program I heard about called Life in the Library, which is an acronym: Life for learning and inspiration, fellowship, and enrichment, with an emphasis on fellowship. We want to get people out of involved with each other and engage in conversations and learn together. It just makes it more enjoyable. So we discovered the human library, where we actually cataloged people for conversations. This is another thing that I know started over in European countries and has made its way to the States. And it was a way to catalog people of all different walks of life so that we could learn and have tolerance and acceptance for each other. But in some areas, like there's not a lot of diversity. So what we did in Ashe County, it's a small rural community with not very much going on as far as diversity. We do have people that are aware of different things, but there are experts too. So we cataloged a poker champion. We cataloged a scientist who knew lots about the greenhouse effect. We cataloged someone who was the super old movies, could tell you anything and everything about any old movie you wanted to know about, and things about baseball. And we even had people that had specialties like crafts and grant writing and yo-yo champions and just whatever. We had a whole collection of different subjects, and we used to meet on the sidewalk once a month when they had the gallery crawls, and people would talk to the human library. And then in the colder months, we would actually open up our art gallery and put up tables and coffee pots, and people could come in and visit and actually schedule someone for a conversation and say, I want to check them out. You can't take them home, that's kidnapping, but you can check them out for in-house use and learn from each other. So the Human Library was a great program, and we're going to revive that now that we're through the pandemic and we can get people in the library more easily. Of course, there are lots of festivals in every library community that I've been in, that you can all, go to the festival as a volunteer, but as a library outreach person, take your tent and take some information and some activities and be involved with people that way. We've worked with our local breweries to host a trivia night. We had a team called the Biblioholics, and we would get down after work and have some fun with that. We have a karaoke machine that we purchased here to use with the teens, and they love to have a karaoke night. And then another kind of speed dating that can be also related to intellectual wellness is literary speed dating. And we set up genre tables and had folks go around the different tables and talk about those books and showcase some of our local authors to talk about their books. So that was a great activity, and I'm sure your mind is swirling, but there's lots of good things that you may have done that we can all talk about and share together. I want to mention the last one here, which is occupational wellness. And as I said, we have just recently opened up a rural tech center, and that's a great help for entrepreneurs to have space. We've got a podcast studio, a place to do some recording. I'm jealous. I want all of that to happen in the library, but it's just down the street, and we can partner with them. Not too much trouble. They do at the tech center charge for their space, and the library things would be free. So hoping that one day we can have a similar thing going on down here. One other important occupation that maybe some folks don't tend to think of or maybe overlook at times when you're thinking of occupations, you're thinking about ways to make money. But raising kids is a big occupation. So the positive parenting programs are awesome. They're great support and help new parents. I know when I was raising my youngest, we didn't have that class available, but we did have Parents Anonymous, and just getting together with other parents to share their challenges and ways to overcome them and help their kids to grow and adjust in a healthy way. So positive parenting is important occupation. There's all sorts of different job and volunteer fairs. You might be able to partner up with your community college or NC Works programming. Speed networking was one thing that I just recently participated in with our health foundation, when they called together all the different organizations to sit around the tables and talk about and meet each other and learn from each other different things that were going on in the community. Volunteering is another occupation that doesn't necessarily pay you to do, but it gets you out and you feel good. And if you're retired, especially, some folks say I'm busier now than I was when I was working. But life in general is an occupation, and a PhD, we all have them, even though you don't have them on a piece of paper from a university. We all have lots of projects have done. We all have lots of piles that are higher and deeper. And this motivational class was the thing that we started to keep us going throughout the year. In the beginning of the year, January 1st, everybody is really excited about their New Year's resolutions and putting their goals on paper and working toward them, but they kind of die down. So we decided, instead of a New Year's resolution, to have a new month resolution class, and we called it the PhD class, to get together and encourage each other and learn new things. A vision board was one activity that we had where folks could make and put those things on something that they could see every day to keep it, first and foremost in their mind what their goals might be. And there's a lot of things you can learn about life audits as well. So these are a quick run through of the 8 dimensions of wellness and the programs that we have used in the past, things we're going to try new and bring back. And we're really excited this year to feature community wellness as an emphasis with our programs throughout the year. So before we move on to the next part of my presentation, I think that Devin, is this where you want to put something up on the screen or?
Yeah, definitely. So okay. I updated the link. Apologies for that. It was basically the permission was set wrong in Google, but I recorded some of the programming ideas that you've done at your library. And also I invite anybody to add to this document if you have suggestions and things that you've done at your library, just to take a minute and look at a couple of examples. So I added the programming idea of working with local restaurants and food trucks with sharing healthy recipes. I know that a bunch of public libraries around the state have community kitchens that they've set up and partnerships where they work with local restaurant owners and food trucks. So that might be a potential idea. And also something to think about with our folks locally in North Carolina. If you're in a county adjacent to a public library that has that sort of a service, potentially co-hosting, partnering together might be a good approach as well, and sharing that space in some way. And with the physical wellness, so Suzanne, you also mentioned Noah Lenstra, who has partnered with so many public libraries around the country. He's based out of UNCG on healthy living in the library, hiking trails. So if you have any sort of interest in bringing in those projects and you're in North Carolina, you might want to reach out to Noah as well. He's a good contact in that.
I could add also, while you're typing, story walks,
Yes.
with kids and families. That's an important way to get your family out walking about and also reading a story together. So I forgot that one. When you mentioned Noah, we had that on our talks with Noah. So there's so many good ideas. This is a great document to keep them all consolidated and add to as we come across them.
Yeah. So there are 7 phases of wellness altogether. Is that correct? Did I miss one?
8. There's actually 8. Let's see.
Okay. Spiritual. I miss spiritual.
It's spiritual. Yeah, I will go back on this document after our presentation today and add some links for Dana Trent and her. She's out of Raleigh. She's a humanities professor, but she's also a Christian minister who married a Hindu monk. And she has an amazing book called Saffron Cross. She's got some other books that have to deal with mental health and a podcast called Breaking Good. Dana Trent has been a great source to work with on that topic of spiritual wellness, and got a lot of good reception from her programs. She's Zoomed with us. She's visited with us in person. Of course, there's a stipend included for her to come, but I actually discovered her at a Bookmarks Movable Feast one year, and folks really enjoyed Trent with a T, not Trend.
Trent. There we go.
I'll put her link in there. Yeah, I'll add it. Yeah.
Perfect.
I wanted to, I'm promoting someone else, but I wanted to say that was a really good spiritual wellness connection there.
Yeah.
I maybe didn't add this, but with meditation and aromatherapy and crystals, and we have a shop down the road that just opened up. So that self-care is included as for your spirit, for your healthy spirit too.
All right. And folks,
Time looks
this
like,
is a
and I'm
document.
gonna-
Yeah, we'll switch over now so that you can get into the second
Okay.
part, which is staff wellness.
Okay. Let's see. Is this it?
Perfect.
When we get ready to do staff wellness, there's another QR code that you can scan, and I'll add the link to the document as well, but will take you to a website called Total Wellness. Now they have a lot of free resources. They do have some things that you can subscribe to, but we look for the free stuff. And I discovered 12 mini wellness challenges last year, and I wanted to encourage and build morale coming back from COVID. Was a challenge all in itself. So this is a good way to treat your staff and do things together to be accountable and motivated. And when you have a wellness partner, you feel more accountable, right? So did you ever walk? Do you want to walk with me? So that was the inspiration behind launching the mini wellness challenges. And there are a couple of little quotes here that came from actual staff members. We started the year off with the drinking water challenge. We didn't have a water cooler in our break room, and our public fountains had been covered up, and they're not the purified water exactly anyway. So I said we need to get a purified water fountain, pure water dispenser in the break room, and everybody, let's get on the roll and switch through this real quick. Everybody was really excited because they got to have a little water bottle that they could personalize. We brought in all sorts of little stickers, and so the bottles were cheaper if they were all the same and all the same color, but to keep them separated and not mixed up with each other, we let staff customize their water bottles with some really cool stickers. And so we set up the hydration station. And if you went on that web page to open up the Total Wellness mini challenges, there's all sorts of tracking charts and tips and different things to promote healthy the challenges in itself. So each month, as I said, I would highlight one of the challenges with my weekly schedule. When I send out the email for everybody's next week, what your schedule is, I would also include something to do with engaging and incentivizing our folks to participate in the challenge, and that was really, really fun. It was let's see the next one. Did I go too far? Mindfulness challenge. This meditation, again, we gave out little candles and journals to our staff that we got from the dollar store, very inexpensive, but they were really neat. to have something to, thank our staff. It's a kind of an appreciation thing as at the same time as an incentive. These affirmators, these cards on Amazon that we ordered had some really encouraging things, and we just put them in the break room and let people come in each day and share or pick one to read for themselves or share what it meant to them. Again, some other checklists and different tracking charts are available on that link that I shared. Here was something that we did to declutter. We had lots of encouragement with daily activity to help you with decluttering. I think I need to start that challenge again because it doesn't seem to stick with me, but I got a few piles here and there. But when you do the challenge, what is really fun is to have the before and after photos and cleaning up our spaces, things you collect throughout the year on your desk. Sometimes tend to get it too much. And looking for the funniest or coolest thing that you found while you were decluttering. One of our IT guy found he's a musician and he's accomplished with a band and plays around, and he's a professional musician on his side job or his other job. But he found a CD from his early days when he was just learning as a child, and he looked totally different. And he said, "This is not the best of my work." So it was kind of funny that he found that in his pile. Staff like to clean up from their home and bring in things to create for donating to our Goodwill. So learning to get rid of that clutter. It also was encouraging to have that chart to help us stay on track and check it off and see that we could do it. More about self-care, other ways to manage time and have a quiet space in our break room for staff to reflect and to to take some breathing. We had the little breathing app on our email that week for that month where we'd actually look online and breathe with intention, in and out, different activities that we could do for promoting self-care and music and things that would encourage you to relax were benefits and things that we shared there. And again, the gratitude. We had quotes that we shared all around the library during that month, and a sharing circle was a fun way to start the day. And we put these quotes in little like fortune cookie strips in a basket and stirred them all up, and we mixed in with the quotes of gratitude. "You're a winner. Thanks for your good work, and we want to give you something in gratitude for being a winner." So we had like a whole lot of winners quotes and gratitude quotes, and every day we would start the day by pulling a fortune and reading it out loud and sharing it with each other and winning prizes to get the day going. And they were just fun little things like a little jar of bubbles or some sort of a treat or just something funny maybe, but little cute little things that people was like, oh, things you wouldn't think of. But for appreciation and gratitude for each other and having that attitude to come to work and be effective, start your day off, and sharing quotes was a big deal that month. Let's see, the walking challenge, step it up and go. There's a lot of apps that you can download, and one we found was World Walker, and it's free, but I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I hadn't, but you can go to a paid level if you like, but you can create it free and start with teams to keep count of your steps every day, and those steps can be applied to somewhere in the world. So I started a walk from Poland to Ukraine, or from Ukraine to Poland, and we can walk virtually. As you put those steps in, new places would open up along the trail. And it was an eye opener, especially in light of what's been going on with the war in Ukraine. to see and learn about their country, as well as take steps to help ourselves. And there's again some trackers and motivational things that you can download on that site to encourage walking. This routine challenge, having a way to start the day and maybe enjoy each other with a healthy breakfast to get going, and encourage how what you found that helped you, and in other words, what you found might help someone else. We discovered the 5 a.m. club, and not everybody wanted to join that club, which wasn't a requirement, but it's a great book. And Atomic Habits is another great book. So I had purchased some books to share and put in the break room, and folks can take them with them and mark them up and read them and own the book to look at each day as far as getting that routine going. Then, of course, with summer, we really wanted to, I misspelled outdoors. Oh, okay, it's out of doors, the out of doors challenge. But let's get out of doors, right? Going outside, like again, environmental wellness, looking and exploring a trail, doing some cleanup, have fun, and just different walks along the way, and sharing with each other what you were doing, and encouraging people to join in activities with you. There's a big checklist full of different ways that you can take a nature scavenger hunt, and we even took some of the things that we collected out in the wild and out in our nature walks to put together a display for our public, for our patrons to come in and see and look at the really cool rocks and feathers and sticks and leaves and flowers and different things that we found in nature. And it really made a really neat display. And we had like a little rack card for folks to do their own nature scavenger hunt. So that was a fun activity that month. The Eat Healthier Challenge was a time where we shared a lot of healthy recipes. We shared some virtual cooking classes, and I'm still putting it together. Actually finished it last week, but the recipes that staff shared were having published in a small little staff cookbook. So we can all have them, put together. And in that cookbook, we had a section for you to track your food, a food tracker, and understanding what you eat and when you eat, and trying to eat more green and other things, not so much. This was a way to reward us. I think I might have skipped a slide, but we did have a snack challenge in there where we ordered from Carew, a company that puts together a curated box of healthy snacks. And we just mixed it all up in the break room and let people have a go at trying some new things. And then we voted on the ones we liked the most, so that we could incorporate that as snack food, not all the chocolate. Chocolate's good, but in moderation, right? Then there's the stress management challenge. We gave away some stress balls and hand lotion, and did some fun things to relieve our stress, to slow down and enjoy the day. And do, all of these things kind of overlap, but really emphasizing ways to get some stress relief with this month. And social connection, like again, social wellness, team building was very important. We worked within our department to try new ways to collaborate and share activities as a team for as programming to complement each other's work. There's a lot of actual things that you can find on the downloads in the website to help with workspace and team building. And I know that was a quick host of things there. And I wanted to thank you all for sharing and talk about any of your ideas now at this point. So I guess I can stop sharing the screen, and we can have a conversation with each other if there's time for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Any questions for Suzanne as well about working with community partners, programming, supporting staff? The QR code for staff wellness. I gotcha. I will drop
Okay,
the link.
I will put both of the QR codes in that Google Doc, the one for our community resource LibGuide for community programming, and the other one for the Total Wellness website. That one's really important because there, Devin's put it up for us. Thank you. When you click into that, there all those different mini challenges have a link of their own. And when you open them up, there's all sorts of downloadable things that you can get to share with staff. I love that website. And if you subscribe to it, you'll get emails about different wellness topics throughout the year. And they always have good inspiration in there for programs too.
And a question that I have for you all, if you want to share in the chat, is do you all have ideas for wellness programming that you want to get off the ground? So if you want to share in the chat, if you have a program idea that you're trying to figure out, it would be great to hear kind of what's going on with you all. I'll also share the document as well so folks can see that and see what we've added to it. Intellectual wellness. We collaborated with the North Carolina Museum of Art to introduce staff and faculty to visual literacy. That's awesome.
Yeah. There's another game I just found over the holidays. I was looking for something for my kids for them to learn with, and they had all these little cards with nature and all different kinds of visual connections there. So I think is that similar to that? Is that visual literacy? Sounds like it would be.
Yeah, this is Morgan. We did the program here, and she basically came in and talked about artwork, and then had us look at different kinds of artwork and explore what we thought it meant, and using visual cues. So the first thing that she really talked to us about was just to see and notice, and so that was a really great visual literacy tip, but also a great mindfulness tip as well.
I like that.
I love the idea of the lunch and laugh program where library staff get together with their lunches and watch something funny. So y'all watched I Love Lucy. That's cute. Yeah, awesome. We have a question from Jen. How do you encourage staff to participate in wellness activities?
Well, what I did was each week I send out a schedule for, a work schedule for the following week. And I would include some tips, some wellness tips and downloadables attached to that email, maybe the tracking chart for healthy eating or the step counts or water challenges and things like that. I would just include it in the email, and not everybody's going to take advantage of it, and they're not, as a requirement, not necessarily needed to, but the fun things that we did together was like when we start the day and walking, and that app was a team thing. Sharing our quotes on gratitude was a daily thing, and it kind of something that folks began to look forward to. We have some people that work part-time and not always here for full staff engagement, so just making that an optional thing that was the main thing that I did, but keeping it in the break room, on the bulletin boards, and in the emails was the way I try to encourage participation.
So consistency and structure are helpful. And I also like the fact that it's integrated into communication that you're already doing with staff with the schedule. Like that's it. I could see that being kind of mood boosting in terms of being like, oh, a fun thing. Also, in addition to figuring out when I'll be working this week, I can get excited. Well, it's the group mentality of it as well.
Yeah, like for our breathing meditation, I found a YouTube video that had a breathing exercise, actually something that you could look at, and it would, the design would go with your in and out breathing. We were sitting in our desk around the workstations here looking at our emails and all breathing kind of at the same time one day. That was funny. But you just find something, a video, a song, an image, link it to some tracking charts and some information from the wellness site, and just put it out there. And most of the time I got a good response from it. Sometimes people get real busy and it doesn't always resonate, but it's there and they know about it, and we talk about it. So
awesome. Well, we are close to kind of wrapping up. Any final questions?
thank you all for sharing your ideas. I'm always looking for ideas and having an idea bank here.
And folks, we'll share out that document in the follow-up email that we'll send out for the workshop. So if you didn't get a chance to share some programming ideas or get some ideas, you will have access to it and you can add to it later. I'll also kind of clean it up and organize it as well, but lots of good stuff shared. All right, see you all in about 15 minutes. Take care. Thank you so much, Suzanne.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Take care.